What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC 282. We have Magomed Ankalaev going against Blachowicz.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back breaking down the last pay-per-view of the year in UFC 282. Looking forward to the card. Obviously, the card did take a pretty big hit with losing the Glover-Yuri fight, but still should be a good card overall. I'm looking forward to a lot of these prelims. We have Paddy, Pimblett as the co-main event. Should be a fun card and can't wait to break it down and talk about it. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. It is always much appreciated. If you do want to support me more, or if you do want to check out some extra content, be sure to check out dfsbythenumbers.com. I just posted today my full card breakdown and best bet article, giving my breakdown, prediction, round method, confidence rating, and best bet for each and every fight on the card. Stats are already up. I think I have 6 or 7 bets thus far, and I'm looking to add one more. So pretty much got all my action in for this card, and I think it's going to be a solid one. Other than that, it is a pay-per-view card, so we're going to be bringing the contest back. To enter said contest, first, leave a like on the video. Second, subscribe to the channel if you are not already. And then third, comment down how many significant strikes you think that Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev are going to combine for. $25 the first. If there is a tie, the tiebreaker does go to the person that did comment first. So there's that. And yeah, other than that, follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, be sure to hit me up on there. My DMs are always open. So yeah, with all that out of the way, I say we get right into the card. We have 13 fights to talk about, and we're going to start with the very first fight on the card. And we have Saaiman going against Steven Kozlow. We have Saaiman, 21 years old, 5'8", with a 67-inch reach, 6-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Steven Kozlow, he's 25 years old, 5'7", 6-0, and obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and we see that Saaiman, I believe he's the biggest favorite on the card. Yeah, he is. So he opened up minus 150. He's currently minus 366, and then we see that Kozlow opened up plus 130, and he's currently plus 301. So you got biggest favorite on the card here in Saaiman, which is kind of terrifying considering the guy's only 21 years old. He's coming off the Contender Series, and the problem I have with this fight is there's not a lot of info. There's not a lot of tape on either of these guys. I think Saaiman has maybe 3 fights available to watch, 2 of those being on like Facebook, where you can barely see anything, and a lot of those fights he's finishing early. Just not a ton of info on Saaiman, and same thing with Kozlow. 6 professional fights. I could only find 1 professional fight, and I was able to watch a couple amateur fights, but it's kind of the same thing every single fight. He's going out there, he's taking down his opponent, and he's submitting him in the first round. 6 wins for Steven Kozlow, all 6 of them coming in the first round by submission. He's a 10th planet guy, solid wrestler, solid grappler. But yeah, we just don't know a ton about either of these guys. What we did see from Saaiman, though, in the Contender Series was, defensively, I think there's going to be some problems in the future in this fight. I don't really worry about it too much, but he was getting beat up a little bit early on. But, I mean, this guy may not look like it, but he has a ton of power. This guy is a finisher. He's finished all but one of his wins, and I like him. But there's some question marks. I mean, what is his takedown defense like? What is his get-up game like? Kozlow is going to take him down, and, what's going to happen then, right? So, just a lot of red flags on this fight. I would not be even thinking about touching the money line of Saaiman here, but I got to pick him to win because from what I see, this guy looks like a killer on the feet. He really does. Only 21 years old, about to be 22. He trains with Dricus Plessis as well, and I like him. So I'm going to pick Saaiman to win this fight. I'm going to take him to win by second round knockout. I think early on he probably does get taken down, but I think he works his way back up. Kozlow taking this fight on short notice, I don't like that. Kozlow's never seen a second round as a pro, I don't like that. So I think Kozlow might have some success early, but as the fight goes on, I think Saaiman eventually catches him on the feet and knocks him out. Give me a second round knockout for Saaiman. All right, next we have Vinicius Salvador going against Daniel De Silva. We have Salvador, 26 years old, 5'7", with a 70.5-inch reach, 14-4, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Daniel De Silva, 26 years old, 5'6", with a 70-inch reach, 11-4, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. We have Salvador opening at minus 200, currently minus 235. De Silva opening at plus 170, currently plus 200. So yeah, we have another Contender Series guy in Vinicius Salvador, and he's going against Daniel De Silva. He is a guy that trains at Charles Oliveira's gym, which I think might be the reason why he's getting a fourth opportunity here, because he is 0-3 thus far in the UFC. All 3 of those losses coming inside the distance at flyweight. Salvador's an interesting fighter, because I remember watching this guy for the Contender Series and researching this guy for the Contender Series and just like very unimpressed. And then he shows up on the Contender Series. I think it was short notice as well. And he looks the best he's ever had by a mile. I mean, he looks like a completely different fighter. I was like, who the heck is this guy? Because it looks nothing like he did on some of these other fights you watch on him. But he is only 26 years old, I believe, so he's going to be making improvements. And if he shows up and looks anything like he did on the Contender Series, he's going to just roll right through Daniel Da Silva and probably do it under a round. Daniel Da Silva, like I said, 0-3 in the UFC, 3 finished losses. Got finished in the first round by Francisco Figueiredo, terrible look. Got finished by Victor Altamirano, who's not really a finisher. I just really questioned the heart of Da Silva, the toughness, the chin, the cardio. The guy's never seen a third round, and you can kind of see why. It was with the way he fights. I mean, this guy is just doing these crazy spinning attacks that he's dangerous. So maybe he can catch Salvador early, and he's dangerous on the mat as well. It seems like once the fight goes like a couple minutes in, he just falls off a cliff. I mean, he's had some success early against Jeff Molina. He's had some success against Victor Altamirano, but he's not having success more than a couple minutes into the fight, and that's very worrisome here, especially at this level. Salvador, he's a guy that has been finished several times as well. He's been knocked out. He's been submitted, so maybe Silva can catch him early. But if this fight gets extended in any type of way, or if there's any adversity whatsoever, I just don't trust Daniel Da Silva. So I think we might be overrating Salvador just a little bit. But, it's really hard to pick Daniel Da Silva at this point. And to be honest, I'm shocked he's even getting another shot in the UFC. So I got to go Salvador, and I'll take Salvador to win by first-round knockout. I think it's going to be a very fun fight for as long as it lasts. All right, moving on. We have Erik Silva, another Contender Series guy, going against TJ Brown. We have Erik Silva, 35 years old, 5'9", with a 71-inch reach, 9-1, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. TJ Brown, he is 32 years old, 5'9", with a 73.5-inch reach, 26-9, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. This is, I believe, the closest line fight on the card, and yes, it is. So it's about a pick 'em. We have Erik Silva opening up minus 225. He's currently minus 118. And then TJ Brown opening up plus 190. He is currently minus 102. So this is another tricky fight. We have another Contender Series guy here in Erik Silva. And I believe TJ Brown fought on the Contender Series as well. So we have 2 guys that have fought on the Contender Series. But the thing with TJ Brown is, since coming into the UFC, he's had 5 fights, right? And he's 2-3 in those 5 fights. And I go back and watch all 5 of those fights, and I'm like, man, TJ Brown has not had one good performance yet. I mean, even in some of his wins, like, first of all, the Kai Kamaka fight, I had a bet on him, and there's no way he won that fight. And then he looked horrible against Danny Chavez, went in there with a very questionable game plan of not taking down Danny Chavez and getting his legs kicked off for 3 rounds. He looked good against Jordan Griffin for a round and then gassed out and got submitted in the second round. Lost to Shalian Nurdenbecky as a pretty big favorite. I mean, the guy just continues to just drop the ball, and I think he's a skilled fighter, but I really question the fight IQ. The decisions he makes in the cage. I mean, it's just hard to watch at times. It's hard to bet. It's hard to pick this guy. And then you have Erik Silva, who I'm impressed with him. I've been very impressed with Erik Silva, not only on the Contender Series when he went out there and ran through the dude on Contender Series. And what was his name? Anvar, that Anvar dude, he beat Giga Chikadze, so there was a little bit of hype on Anvar, and he kind of ran through him. His ground and pound looks good, his submission game looks really good, and he looks really good, but he's fighting questionable competition. So it's one of those fights where I'm very impressed with what I see from Silva, but he's fought not really anybody. And then on the other side, we have TJ Brown, who he's fought solid guys, but I'm just not impressed with them at all. So I got to go Silva here. I like the grappling of Silva, the ground and pound of Silva. TJ Brown's been knocked out 3 times. He's been submitted 3 times. I think Silva eventually catches him in something in the second round. So give me Silva for the win. I'm going to take Silva to win by second round submission, but this is not a fight I really feel too confident in. All right, moving on, we have Billy Quarantillo going against Alexander Hernandez. We have Quarantillo, 34 years old, 5'10", with a 70-inch reach, 16-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Alexander Hernandez, 30 years old, 5'9", with a 72-inch reach, 13-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Billy Quarantillo is the favorite, opening up -210, currently -160. Hernandez opening up +180 is currently +140. So I guess the big thing here is Alexander Hernandez is going to be cutting down to featherweight. So this is one I really want to see on the scales. I want to see how he looks on the scales, because it's going to be a big cut. I mean, cutting an extra 10 pounds. I mean, the guy looks already completely ripped at 155. I'm curious to see what he looks like at featherweight here, but it's a weird matchup because there's a guy in Alexander Hernandez who we've seen him crumble, we've seen him get broken, we've seen him gas out and get finished, multiple times. Cowboy Cerrone did it. We saw Drew Dober do it, and then we saw one other guy, Moicano, do it his last time out. I mean, this is a guy that when he's battling any adversity whatsoever, I mean, he looks for the door. Moicano submitted him in the second round after hurting Alexander Hernandez pretty bad. Like I said, Dober got him out in the second round, and Cowboy got him out of there in the second round. And, what does Billy Quarantillo do? He's a guy that he wants to break your will. He wants to get in your face and throw a ton of volume. I mean, the volume numbers of Billy Quarantillo are insane. He's averaging 7.74 significant strikes per minute. I will say defensively, Billy Quarantillo is not that good. I mean, 40% strike and defense, that's a concern. And it's a concern in this matchup where, Hernandez does hit very hard. His takedown defense does need some work as well. But, if Hernandez does not knock out Billy Quarantillo in the first round, it's just really hard to pick him to win this fight because, Billy Quarantillo, he's, like I said, he's going to get in your face nonstop. He's going to pressure. He's going to put on a pace that most guys can't keep up on. And I just really struggle to see Hernandez, a guy that typically does gas out in general, cutting down a weight class, keeping up with that pace. So if you like Hernandez, you probably like him to win by first round knockout, and maybe it does happen. He does hit hard. He's coming down to weight class. Maybe that power does translate, and, Billy Q is very hittable, but, Billy Q is tough. He can take a shot. He has to take a shot with how hittable he is, and I think he kind of, gets better as the fight goes on. I think that's the case here. I think early on in that first round, Hernandez probably does have some success. He probably does land a big shot. Maybe he does get some takedowns, but as the fight goes on, I think Billy's going to break him. I think he's going to pressure, land some big shots, and I think he's going to finish Hernandez in that second round, late second. So give me Quarantillo to win. Give me Quarantillo to win by second round knockout. And yeah, it should be a phenomenal fight here. All right, next we have Joaquin Buckley going against Chris Curtis. We have Buckley, 28 years old, 5'10", with a 76-inch reach. He is 15-5 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Chris Curtis, 35 years old, 5'10", with a 75.5-inch reach, 29-9 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. It's a closely lined fight. We have Joaquin Buckley opening at -125, currently -155. Chris Curtis opening up +105, currently +135. And I think it's a close fight here. I think this fight is primarily going to play out on the feet. Buckley does have some takedowns here or there. I think that's just completely off the table in this matchup. Chris Curtis' takedown defense is very good. His get-up game is very good. Nobody's taking down and holding down Chris Curtis, especially Joaquin Buckley. So I do expect this fight to play out on the feet. And when it does, I think both guys have power, absolutely have power. But I do think the more powerful striker is Buckley. But what kind of sticks out to me the most, and I think what divides these guys the most, is the durability. One guy has phenomenal durability, and that's Chris Curtis. 38 professional fights. He's only been knocked out once. I love that. Whereas Joaquin Buckley, 20 fights. He's been knocked out 3 times. He's been knocked down a ton. And this is a fight where, like I said, both guys have power. They are going to be standing. And I think that durability is going to carry Chris Curtis in this matchup. I love the volume of Chris Curtis as well. The guy thus far in the UFC has been landing 6 significant strikes per minute compared to Buckley landing 3.5. I like Chris Curtis to get this done. I like Chris Curtis to eventually find the chin of Joaquin Buckley and knock this guy out and give him his 4th knockout loss. So, should be close, should be competitive up until there is a finish, if there's a finish. But I like Curtis here. I like Curtis to get the job done as a dog, and I like him to knock out Joaquin Buckley, and I'll say in the second round. All right, next we have Edmen Shahbazyan going against Dalcha Lungiambula. We have Shahbazyan, who is 25 years old, 6'2", with a 74-inch reach. He has 11-3 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Dalcha Lungiambula, he is 35 years old, 5'8", with a 76-inch reach, 11-5 and 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Edmen Shahbazyan, one of the biggest favorites on the card, opening at -450, currently -290. Dalcha opening up +350, currently +245. And yeah, this is it's a matchup, Shahbazyan should win. I mean, he's taken a big step down in competition. He's going from Nasruddin Imavov, Jack Hermanson, Derek Brunson, Brad Tavares, guys like that, to Dalcha Lungiambula, who is 1-4 in his last 5 fights with losses to, Cody Brundage, Soriano, Mark Barrio. He did lose to Magomed Ankalaev, but, wins over Daquan Townsend and Marcus Perez. Like, this is a matchup Shahbazyan should go out here and not only win, but win in very devastating fashion. I got to favor Shahbazyan, pretty much everywhere. Shahbazyan's a well-rounded guy, has a lot of power on the feet, he has good wrestling, good grappling. Dalcha Lungiambula, he has some power as well. The problem with Dalcha, though, is the gas tank. And both guys here don't have the best gas tank in the world, nothing like that. But it's just Dalcha's gas tank is very concerning. Like, I remember watching his last fight against Punahele Soriano, and he started to try to wrestle with Soriano, and his corner was screaming at the top of their lungs, saying, "No, don't wrestle." And the reason why is because he can't go out there and expend a ton of energy, or really much energy at all. That's why he's so low volume. He doesn't wrestle a ton. It's because he just doesn't have the gas tank to do it for 15 minutes. So what I would like to see Shahbazyan do is, like I said, Shahbazyan does not have the best gas tank in the world, but it is much better than Dalcha's. I would like to see Shahbazyan wrestle with Dalcha, make him work. And if he does that, I think Dalcha's going to slow down, probably in the first round. Dalcha's gas tank is a huge liability for him. But yeah, I like Edmen here quite a bit. It's hard to trust a guy. He's on a 3-fight skid, but he should absolutely win this fight. If he doesn't, he's cut. He's cut. It's gonna be 4 in a row for him. A loser gets cut in this matchup. But you got to go Shahbazyan here. He's a big favorite for a reason. Give me Edmen Shahbazyan to win, and I will say by 2nd round knockout. All right, another Contender Series guy here. We have Raul Rosas Jr. going against Jay Perrin. We have Raul Rosas Jr., who is 18 years old, 5'9", with a 67-inch reach, 6-0, obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Jay Perrin, 29 years old, 5'7", 69-inch reach, 10-6 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we see that Raul Rosas Jr. opened up as a -200 favorite. He's currently -230. Jay Perrin opened up +170. He's currently +195. So yeah, I go and watch, Raul Rosas Jr., and he looks phenomenal. The kid looks just phenomenal. He's only 18 years old. He fought on the Contender Series at 17 years old, so he gained a lot of hype. A 17-year-old going on there and putting on a very good performance, and rightfully so. And then I go and watch all his other fights, and he's looking good. I've not seen one bad thing with Raul Rosas Jr., but there's a big problem. The big problem is the level of competition. Yes, he's looking phenomenal against these guys. He's getting takedowns. His grappling looks great, but he's battling just no resistance at all. He's seen absolutely no adversity whatsoever. He's taking these guys down, and he's either A, controlling them for 15 minutes, or B, eventually getting the submission. And you go back, and it's like he's beating 0-0 guys, 0-2 guys, 1-0 guys, 2-0 guys. He's fought nobody. So yes, he looks phenomenal. Can't take that away from him, but against who, right? Where you have, Jay Perrin. He's not the best fighter in the world, but he's not a complete nobody. He's 10-6. He's fought in the UFC. He's fought in good guys. He trains with very good guys. He trains with Merab Dvalishvili, and he's a guy that I go back and watch him, and he does a couple things good. The first thing he does is the cardio. He has phenomenal cardio. The striking, it's whatever. He's gonna have the striking advantage here though against Rosas, who I've seen not strike at all. In the very little that I have seen of Rosas strike, it just doesn't look great. So, Perrin's going to have the striking advantage. Perrin does have phenomenal cardio, phenomenal toughness. This guy's very hard to get out of there. But his takedown defense is very good. His get-up game is very good. It's really hard to take down Jay Perrin and hold him down as well. And that's probably going to be the case if you're training with Merab Dvalishvili every single day, right? So it's one of those fights where, yes, Rosas looks phenomenal, but this is going to be a test. I see a lot of people saying that this is a setup fight for Raul Rosas Jr., and maybe that's the case, but, Jay Perrin's not going to be an easy matchup whatsoever. If I was to set up Raul Rosas Jr., I'd give him somebody with no takedown defense or get-up game and no grappling, which that's not Jay Perrin. Jay Perrin has great takedown defense, great get-up game, and great grappling. So I think it's a solid test for Raul Rosas Jr. As far as making a pick here, I'm actually going to take the dog here and Jay Perrin to get the job done. I think early on, Rosas Jr. probably does take him down, but I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think Jay Perrin's going to work his way back up every time. And I think as the fight goes on, Rosas could potentially slow down. And I think Jay Perrin's going to take over late in the fight, win that second and third round, or potentially get a late finish here. So give me the big dog and Jay Perrin to get the job done, and I'll say Jay Perrin wins this one by decision. Possible late finish if Raul Rosas Jr. does slow down and he's forced to strike, which, like I said, if we've seen very little to no striking of Raul Rosas Jr. So give me Jay Perrin for the upset. We will see what happens. All right. We'll keep moving on. We have Jairzinho Rozenstruik going against Chris Daukaus. We have Rozenstruik, who is 34 years old. He is 6'2" with a 78-inch reach, 12-4 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Chris Daukaus, he is 33 years old, 6'3" with a 76-inch reach, 12-5 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We have Rozenstruik as the favorite, opening up -160, currently -163. Chris Daukaus opening up +140, currently +143. Heavyweight fight. These guys are going to stand and bang. Somebody is going to fall. In terms of picking a winner, I mean, I don't know. This can go either way. But, Chris Daukaus has kind of run into some tough fights here. I mean, Derek Lewis was a very tough fight. Derek Lewis knocked him out. Curtis Blaydes is a very tough fight. And Curtis Blaydes knocked him out. And I will say, Curtis Blaydes, phenomenal wrestler, not really known for his striking. Curtis Blaydes does have good power, and his striking has improved a lot, but he's not really known for that, power like a Lewis, like a Ngannou, like a Rozenstruik. I think Rozenstruik hits much harder than Curtis Blaydes. I think that's not really debatable there. But the problem with Rozenstruik is, the volume at times. The guy, they call him Frozenstruik, and I will say, Rozenstruik, as of late, he has been doing a much better job at, walking forward, letting his hands go. And when he does, he's having success outside of his last fight where he did get caught by Alexander Volkov. But still, when he's letting his hands go, he looks good. He looks good. And I would like to see him do that here. It's a tough fight to call. Both guys coming off of a knockout loss. But I think Rozenstruik is the better striker here. Chris Daukaus, very fast guy. A guy that he was talking about, being able to fight at potentially light heavyweight in the future as well. But both guys have a lot of power. Power advantage obviously goes to Jairzinho Rozenstruik, but Daukaus has some power in his own right. I think these guys are going to stand and bang, but I just trust Jairzinho Rozenstruik more. And man, I don't know why the UFC hates Chris Daukaus. I mean, I would like to see Chris Daukaus, bounce back a little bit, but no, they're feeding him to one of the hardest hitters in the division with Rozenstruik, a guy in Rozenstruik that multiple knockouts, a guy that has knocked guys out with jabs. The guy's next level powerful, and I just question the chin of Chris Daukaus. I really do. If you're getting knocked out by Curtis Blaydes, I know he hits hard, but my goodness, Rozenstruik hits much, much harder. So I'm going to go Rozenstruik to win by first round knockout, but I think somebody's getting knocked out here, and probably in the first round. All right, next we have the People's Main Event. This has got to be the best fight on the card, and it's not even close to the main event, but this fight's so good. We have Ilia Topuria going against Bryce Mitchell. Topuria, 25 years old, 5'7" with a 69-inch reach, 12-0, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Bryce Mitchell, 28 years old, 5'10" with a 70-inch reach, 15-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. They are fairly close, with Topuria opening up a -150 favorite, currently -137. Bryce Mitchell opened up +130. He is currently +117. Yeah, this is the toughest fight to call on the card for me. This is one of those fights where I'm going to have absolutely no action on it. It's one of those fights I'm just going to sit back and just watch it, because it's such a phenomenal fight, and it's a tough fight to call. I don't know how anybody could have a very strong lean on either of these guys, because both these guys are phenomenal. Undefeated, combined record of 27-0, and both guys are super young. Bryce Mitchell only 28 years old. Topuria's only 25. So I think these guys have huge, huge ceilings. And it kind of sucks they're getting matched up against each other, but at the same time, it's kind of awesome, right? But yeah, Bryce Mitchell, he's a guy that, very good wrestler. The guy's wrestling's phenomenal. Very, very good grappler. Very good cardio as well. The striking has always kind of been an issue, but his striking looked a lot better in the Edson Barbosa fight. He even went out there and knocked down Edson Barbosa. So yeah, if he can start, rounding out that striking, this guy can be, unstoppable, because the wrestling's there, the grappling's there, and if the striking can start coming along, Bryce Mitchell's going to be a problem, and he is a problem. Ilia Topuria on the other side, this guy, great striker with a ton of power for the division. he's a guy that is just a phenomenal grappler. I mean, you go back and watch some of this guy's fights outside the UFC, he's a wizard on the mat, legit black belt in BJJ, and he has that wrestling as well. I guess the one knock on Ilia Topuria is potentially the cardio. The one time we did see him get extended against Yusuf Zalal and go to decision, he did get tired. On the feet, he did look very tired. He looked sloppy on the feet in that third round. I think he got reversed by Zalal, once or twice in that third round as well, which is not the best look in the world, but man, it's a tough fight to call. Striking, you obviously got to give the advantage to Topuria here, but like I said, Bryce Mitchell has made strides in his striking. The wrestling and grappling, we're going to have to find out. We're going to find out Saturday who is the better wrestler and the better grappler. It's going to come down to who's able to get on top. It's a close fight to call. If I had to make a pick, because I have to make a pick, I think I'm going to slightly lean with the dog in Bryce Mitchell, which I don't know. I'm gonna pick Bryce Mitchell to win just because of the cardio. I think it's going to be a back and forth war here. I think it's gonna be a super close fight. I don't see anybody getting finished in this one. If there is a finish, it probably comes from Topuria, but I see it just being a back and forth war. Both guys getting takedowns, both guys getting reversals. I think it's gonna be a very fun fight that can really go either way. So I'm gonna pick Bryce Mitchell just because I can trust him more down the stretch. When it gets to the late second to third round, I think Bryce Mitchell is going to be the fresher guy, whereas I have seen Topuria slow down. So yeah, give me Bryce Mitchell for the decision win, but no confidence in it. But I'm gonna sit back and watch it. It's gonna be a great fight. It's the people's main event, but give me Bryce Mitchell to ever so slightly edge out a close decision. Honestly, probably a split decision. I think it's gonna go either way here. So give me Bryce Mitchell to win. Bryce Mitchell to win by decision. All right, next we have Dricus du Plessis going against Darren Till. We have du Plessis, who is 28 years old, 6'1" with a 76-inch reach. He has 17-2 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Darren Till, he has 29 years old, 6'1" with a 75-inch reach, 18-4-1 and 1-4 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. And Dricus du Plessis is -175. He did open up -135. Some money has been coming in on him. Darren Till opening up +115, currently +150. And yeah, if this fight was a couple years ago, it'd be Darren Till all day, every day. The problem is it's not. Darren Till's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. I question where his head's at. Where the mentality of Darren Till is at this point. Just does not look great. And it's weird. He's only 29 years old. He's about to be 30. But I don't know. He's just looked off. He's looked very off, the past couple fights. Dricus du Plessis, he's a guy that's looked good. He's looked very good. Went out there, finished Trevin Giles. Went out there, finished Marcus Perez. Went out there, had a really good fight with Brad Tavares as well. It's a step up. It's a step up for du Plessis. But what I like about him is he's very dangerous everywhere. He has power on the feet. He has a very good submission game. And I like the volume of du Plessis. Whereas Darren Till, some of the lowest volume you'll ever see, but he does have that power. So I guess, Darren Till could potentially hurt du Plessis, there we go. Potentially knock him out, I guess. But I just trust du Plessis a lot more at this time. Like I said, I like the volume. I think he's going to be the minute winner. As long as he's not getting knocked out, I think du Plessis, gets this one done. Whether it's a knockout of his own right, I think he could hurt Darren Till. Du Plessis hits very hard. And if he is able to get this fight down to the mat, I think a sub is super live, just because we saw Darren Till get submitted pretty easily by Derek Brunson, and then we also saw him get submitted by Tyron Woodley, and I think he's been submitted another time other than that. So he's been submitted a couple times, and Dricus is very slick on the mat. So, I like Dricus to win this fight. I like him to win by finish. I'll take Dricus to win by, I'll say, second round submission win for Dricus du Plessis. But Darren Till does have a puncher's chance, I will say. But yeah, give me Dricus for the win. All right, next we have the short notice replacement in Alex Morono. He is replacing Robbie Lawler. He is going against Santiago Ponzinibbio. We'll start with Ponzinibbio, who is 36 years old, 6 foot with a 73-inch reach. He is 28-6 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Morono, 32 years old, 5'11", 72-inch reach, 22-7 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We do have odds on this one. We have Ponzinibbio opening up -260, currently -180. Morono opening up +220, currently +155. So yeah, Ponzinibbio, he is 36 years old. I think he's a little bit past his prime. He took that big layoff. He was dealing with some injuries and some stuff outside of the cage, and he's come back and he's looked okay. A little bit disappointing, but he's looked okay. I think he has lost a step or two though. Came back against Miguel Baeza. Actually came back against Li Jingliang after like a 3-year layoff. Got knocked out. Then he bounced back against Miguel Baeza. In that fight, he started a little bit slow, started to kind of get better as the fight went on and won decision. Very close fight against Jeff Neal, a fight that could have went either way. And then a very close fight against Michel Pereira, a fight that could have went either way. So he's still competing at a very high level. He's still looking very good. I don't think he's washed or nothing like that, but I think he has lost a step or two. I think it's going to be a close fight. Both guys have phenomenal volume. I don't see either guy going for takedowns here. Morono's a guy that he is a very good grappler, just never chooses to wrestle. I don't really see him doing that here. But yeah, in terms of the numbers, it could be a very close fight. I do think Ponzinibbio is the better striker, though. And like I said, he's going to very close. Like that Ponzinibbio-Pereira fight could have went either way. Ponzinibbio easily could have won that fight. And same thing with the Neal fight. Like that fight literally could have went either way. So he's still competing against these guys, and you have Morono coming in on short notice. I like Ponzinibbio to outpoint him across 3 rounds, but I mean, I don't really agree with the price tag. I mean, he's like minus 200, minus 180, minus 190 around there. I mean, I feel like this is going to be a close fight, but you got to go Ponzinibbio here. But it's going to go to decision. It's going to be close. It's going to be up to the judges. Wouldn't feel comfortable betting on this one, but I'm going to take Ponzinibbio to win. I'm going to take him to win by decision. Okay, co-main event, Paddy Pimblett going against Jared Gordon. We have Pimblett, 27 years old, 5'10", with a 76-inch reach. He is 19-3 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Jared Gordon, 34 years old, 5'9", with a 68-inch reach, 19-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Paddy Pimblett is the favorite, opening up plus 125, currently minus 250. Jared Gordon opening up minus 145, currently plus 210. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think Paddy Pimblett's a little bit bigger of a favorite than he was against Jordan Levitt, which is kind of interesting there. But yeah, this is a big step up in competition for Paddy Pimblett. This is not Jordan Levitt. This is not Cazola Vargas. This is not Luigi Vandermini. This is Jared Gordon, a guy in Jared Gordon who's just solid everywhere. I mean, Jared Gordon's solid. I mean, he's fought in good competition. Jared Gordon's a brown belt, I believe, in BJJ. Good grappler, good wrestler. The striking's fine. He's just a really well-rounded guy that has been there and fought solid guys. So it's a good test for Paddy Pimblett here. The problem I have with Jared Gordon in this matchup is the durability, though. 5 losses for Jared Gordon, all 5 of them coming inside the distance. He's never lost a decision. So if this fight does go to decision, I expect it to be very close. It's just I question the chin of Jared Gordon. And Paddy Pimblett, not much of a striker. The striking has improved a lot, from a couple years ago. And he does have power, and we saw that against Luigi Vandermini. So I think Pimblett's absolutely live to hurt Gordon on the feet, like a club and saw. But Paddy Pimblett's also a very good grappler and a very dangerous grappler as well. Very, submission over position. He's not afraid to, pull guard. He's not afraid to be on bottom. And he's a good grappler, a very good grappler. So, and like I said, he's dangerous, whereas Jared Gordon is not. Jared Gordon is not dangerous at all. He's not finishing anybody. I think he has maybe 1 finish in the UFC. So it's one of those fights where I think Jared Gordon can be very competitive with Paddy Pimblett, whether it's on the feet. I think he can, probably land more than Paddy Pimblett, but it's going to be Paddy Pimblett who is landing the bigger shots, the more damaging shots, the shots that probably hurt Gordon. And same thing with the grappling. I feel like Jared Gordon can take down Pimblett and have success winning minutes. It's just I think Paddy Pimblett is the much more likely fighter to find a submission and get that finish, and that's kind of where I'm leaning here. Do I agree with the price tag on Paddy Pimblett being a minus 250 favorite? No, not really, but I do see him hurting Gordon at some point or locking in a submission at some point as well. So I'm going to take Pimblett to win. I'll say a second round, like a club and sub, and I think he gives Jared Gordon his 6th submission loss. But yeah, really looking forward to this fight. It is a true test for Paddy Pimblett here. And then we got the main event. Do want to remind you guys, comment down the significant strikes for the significant strike contest. Again, $25 to the winner. If there is a tiebreaker, the tiebreaker does go to the person that comment first. But yeah, comment down those strikes that you think Ankalaev and Blachowicz are going to combine for. But we have Ankalaev, he's 30 years old, 6'3", 75-inch reach, 18-1, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We have Jan Blachowicz, 39 years old, 6'2", with a 78-inch reach, 29-9. And 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We have Ankalaev opening up minus 200, currently minus 260. Blachowicz opening up plus 170, currently plus 220. And yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not really looking forward to this fight, which is crazy to say because it's a freaking title fight. But man, I was really looking forward to the Glover-Yuri fight. I'm just not a big fan of Ankalaev. I mean, I don't know if he has really any fans out there, maybe a couple, just because the guy's phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, he's a very good fighter, but super boring. Just hard to watch at times. I remember watching that Thiago Santos 5-round fight. It was the worst fight I've ever seen in my life. But you can't deny he's not skilled, because he is. He's very skilled. He's very skilled. Really solid striking, lots of power, good wrestling, good grappling, good control on top, good ground and pound. Lots of things to like about Ankalaev, as a fighter in terms of skill set. But if you're looking for an exciting fight, it's probably not going to happen here, which sucks. And if you're one of the people that think Kamaru Usman was a boring champion, guys like that. Adesanya was a boring champion. I mean, get ready for Magomed Ankalaev, because I don't know. He doesn't do much. But I think he wins this fight. I think on the feet it's going to be competitive. I see both guys just doing a lot of nothing, a lot of staring, a lot of one shot at a time. But I think the big difference here is going to be, the wrestling of Ankalaev. And it's not something he's really done a ton of throughout his career. He took down Krylov here and there. He obviously took down Anthony Smith his last time out. But I think it'd be wise, very wise, to take down Jan Blachowicz. Blachowicz has good takedown defense, but his get-up game's atrocious. I mean, if you can get this guy down, he's not getting back up. So, yeah, I think it'd be smart, and I think he will. I think Ankalaev takes Blachowicz down, and once he does, that's probably going to be the round there. So, yeah, on the feet, close, competitive. Jan Blachowicz has a puncher's chance, but I think Ankalaev mixing in those takedowns is going to be what wins him the fight. By decision. Is it going to be a fun fight? I don't think so. I don't think so, but hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I like Ankalaev to get it done and to get it done by decision there. All right, we did it. All 13 fights. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe. I'll be going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. I'll also be going live Saturday, 2 hours prior to the prelims for Best Bet. So check me out there. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. If you want extra content, be sure to check out DFSbythenumbers.com. Got bets, articles, all the good stuff over there. Check it out. And yeah, guys, best of luck for UFC 282. Let us make some money. See you guys later.